All right, guys, I can hardly believe it. We have actually made it to the Redwood Rally. We took off from Central Oregon last night, drove about 4.5 hours last night through the rain. The car did fantastic, even with no hood on it, and the rain wasn't a problem at all. We cruised on down here. The car was absolutely flawless. I was astonished. Let me tell you, the thing worked really well. All right, you guys, that is it. We have made it here to Redwood Rally. This is day number 1. Yesterday was our check-in day and tech day. Ended up being pretty windy and pretty rainy, so we didn't do kind of interviews with cars like that. There's a ton more cars today. Everyone's filtering in. Looks like we got a full house, full event. I think there's around 180 participants total for this deal. I can't wait. The car is as ready as it's going to be. We are the first ones up for the day. I'm in the Mind Over Matter class, which basically means I'm going to be setting my own ET. So I'm going to basically do a run here, get a baseline, see what the car is going to do, and then that's going to be my dial in for the rest of the weekend that I'm going to try to match throughout the week. So I'm excited about this, you guys. You can hear the cars starting to get fired up. Let's do this thing. Yeah. That was quick. Yeah. All right. So you guys saw what happened there. This thing made a ton of smoke from the tires and then a ton more smoke from the engine. Feels like I did the exact same thing. I'm pretty sure I blew up the pistons yet again. Now, what's weird is that I was just looking through the data log, and yes, it was making a little bit more boost down here at the sea level, but the timing was very conservative on this thing. It was running maybe 10 degrees of timing, so I don't know what happened, and this once again underscores just how important it is to have some good tuning. I wish I would have had the chance to have somebody actually tune this thing properly. I wouldn't be in this situation right now. This engine is smoked. We're done. And after doing one burnout on the first day, this thing's blown up. So there's a chance right now that we may be able to bring my C10 down. I won't be in competition anymore, but I might still be able to use the C10, run the C10. That would be really nice to do that, but that's about 4.5 hours away from now. So we're gonna be sitting around at the track all day today, potentially hoping for that to show up later in the day. Okay, real quick, you guys, I just want to show you the data log here. This is kind of, I imagine, when the engine was about to let go here. You can see that I was about 190 kPa there, which is about, I don't know, 13-ish PSI. So obviously, definitely making some more boost down here. You can see the spark was at 9.6, coolant temp 219, which isn't crazy high. Intake air temps 153, obviously not great, definitely a little bit high. But again, I can't see, I mean, if you look at the air fuel ratio, we're at 11.2 right there. So I'm still not entirely certain why this thing let go. I mean, those aren't crazy numbers. I probably should not have been quite so aggressive with my burnout, but I was just trying to get the tires going because they're brand spanking new. But honestly, if the car can't do a burnout, it never would have made it on the trip. So regardless, there's our numbers that we have right there. And we have complete engine failure. The engine won't even crank right now. It seized, so she done. 69. Dang. And just like that, my rockstar wife has driven 4.5 hours to save us and get us to C10 so we can continue on with our vacation here. Magnum is loaded up to be headed back home and put in the shop, and I hope I don't touch it again for a little while. I'm pretty tired of this car right now. Even though it's my fault it blew up. Don't care, a little tired of this one. All right, situation report, day 1 of the Redwood Rally, and we are en route to Eureka, California on a twisty, windy section that there is no phone service whatsoever. And we are stuck at road construction, believe it or not, and it looks like we have been here for quite some time. And unfortunately, there's another competitor who apparently, as he was sitting here waiting, idling for long enough that one of his starter bolts fell out. So he's stuck on the side of the road right now, so they're trying to get that figured out. We have no idea when we're going to make it out of here. We are in the backup rig, the C10 here. It's doing good so far. The lighting on this thing, not great. So when you're on a twisty, windy road with terrible lights, also not great. But we're still pushing. We're going to make it to Eureka tonight, make it out to Samoa Dragway in the morning. And we're going to keep this thing going, guys. All right, you guys, we are here on the second day of the Redwood Rally. We're out here at Samoa Drag Strip in Eureka, California. This is right on the coast of California. Pretty rainy this morning. They're trying to get things dried off. Looks like we have some better weather coming along. And I think we're gonna do a one and done today. So essentially we're gonna try to get all of the classes run through at least once, try to get one time slip out of this thing. They're currently dragging the track. You can probably hear that in the background there. But we're trying to get this thing dried up so we can all make a run. Now, the organizers here have been really kind as to allow me to get basically my backup vehicle and still do the route, still make some hits out on the track, but I am not in competition. And I have absolutely no problem with that. I didn't fulfill what we were supposed to do, which was to make your vehicle make the whole event. I didn't even make one pass, so that's how that works. So that covers that. Now, I wanna give you guys some more information on what actually happened with the Magnum itself. Now, if you watched that video from before, you saw I was showing you on the data log that everything looked normal on there, and I didn't have a whole lot of concerns about, like, well, basically, quite frankly, I didn't understand why the thing blew up in the first place. There was no reason for it to blow up in my mind because it wasn't doing anything really crazy. I mean, it made about 14 pounds in the burnout box, but air fuel ratios were 11.5 to 1. Timing was 10 degrees. Didn't seem crazy to me, but it absolutely scattered that engine. Well, after I blew the engine up, also here at the rally, there is a pretty good mopar contingent of guys out here, including a professional tuner, and this is what he does all the time. And he took a look at my tune and was basically like, hey, you're running this thing off of pump gas, right? 14 PSI, and he said 10 degrees of timing that I had there in the log. He said, that's too much. That's gonna scatter this thing, no question about it. So it was timing based again. Now, to clarify for you guys, I did actually change my timing maps on this vehicle, and I changed all of the ones that I knew of that I thought were relevant, but actually he showed me that there's even another timing table that's called minimum spark, and my minimum spark was 10 degrees. So even though I had gone into the knock sensor protection and added extra timing retard into that, no matter what, as long as this timing table said a minimum of 10 degrees, that's exactly what it was gonna give me, and that's what happened. The knock sensor was doing its absolute best to try to actually pull timing out of this thing, but because the minimum table was set at 10 degrees of timing, 10 degrees is exactly what I got, and this tuner said that's too much for these stock pistons in there. You're gonna grenade the thing, and that's exactly what happened.
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
The engine grenaded so badly that it actually won't even turn over anymore. Now, again, I don't really care that much. It's just a mechanical issue. It's not like I have to rebuild the entire car or anything. But I just gotta be honest, like, this is what shows you how important good tuning really is, because I scattered 2 engines in a week because I don't know what I'm doing. that is going to get expensive really quickly doing this sort of thing. So I'm not interested in doing that anymore. I would really like to have a professional tuner give me a baseline to work off of, and then I can learn and adjust from there. But this stuff of blowing up engines, it just shows you guys that tuning is so critically important, and it is its own complete discipline. Just like fabrication is, just like mechanics is, tuning is its own discipline, and you can't just jump in and imagine that you know what you're doing. So, you know, school of hard knocks for me, but we'll move on. We'll rebuild the car once again and actually make it perform like it's going to. Now, I will say, for that exact 1.5 seconds of time in history there, it felt absolutely phenomenal in the burnout box until all of that smoke came out. Because when I actually got on it, this is the first time running the car at sea level, and when I actually got on it in the burnout box there, the turbo on this thing finally lit, and it acted exactly like I had hoped it would, where the supercharger just immediately snapped the thing up, and then it lit the turbo, and the thing was rolling, literally for a second and a half, and then it blew up. So again, we're gonna make some changes, we're gonna make some improvements, but for right now, let's just continue enjoying the rally. We're gonna try and make our one hit today, drive up the Oregon coast. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful drive, and make it up to Coos Bay. .636. It runs a 677. All right, you guys, we are here at the end of day 2 of the Redwood Rally. Now, today started in Samoa, California, Eureka, California area, and now we are in Coos Bay, Oregon, which is following up for the 3rd day of the rally. However, we did not actually make a pass today. The track was very wet this morning, and then they were having some technical problems, so they're having some trouble getting through with the classes. Now, for us, because we're not technically in competition anymore, I felt it was wrong to actually try to take any time away from anyone else. They deserve the opportunity to get down the track first. So I was like, you know what, if we do get a pass, we'll do it at the end of the day when they do the all run classes at the end. And then it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we were like, you know what, we don't want to be driving in the dark again, so let's just do the smart move here and make the drive up the coast, have a beautiful drive, and be ready for the next day of the rally. So that's exactly what we did. We made our way north. We went through my hometown, Brookings, Oregon, got to see my parents that are still there, my brother and sister, had some time with them, that was nice. Then we moved all the way up to Coos Bay, and a mile away from our hotel, the pinion nut backed off on the rear differential and made a horrific noise. We had to pull over, jack the truck up. I basically band-aided it back together. We got it just tight enough to where we could limp it to the hotel. So that's what we've done. So tomorrow we got to go to the auto parts store, get a new pinion seal, and get the proper size socket so we can really get that pinion yoke really tightened down there as much as we possibly can. That way we can hopefully continue with the day. So the fun never stops when you're on a drag and drive event, you guys. All right, I appreciate you watching. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Okay, here we are, day 3, Redwood Rally. We are in Coos Bay, Oregon. Now, unfortunately, as I mentioned last night, we had the pinion nut back off on this thing. I have a new pinion seal in there. I got the rear end tightened back down as best I could. But to be honest, kind of where we're at right now is that the truck is kind of band-aided back together. There's no way we're gonna be able to run this thing at the tracks and feel comfortable. We still have 2 more tracks to go. And this track right now is the closest to my home that we're going to be. So unfortunately, I think we're going to call it for this particular event. Really unfortunate, because we achieved a total of 0 passes here on the Redwood Rally, but it was still great to be a part of everything. Congratulations to the people who are continuing on, and hopefully the best for them that they can actually continue and actually finish the event. As you guys, we're back at our home shop. We've got the Twin Charged Magnum back in the shop here, and I just wanted to give a couple of wrap-up notes on the Redwood Rally here. First of all, would I consider this trip a failure? Seems how my first vehicle blew up and the second vehicle had a mechanical issue and I wasn't able to actually finish the rally. Yeah, I would probably say so, especially seems how I never had a chance to do any passes at all. I think you could really qualify that as a failure, but I am still proud of myself for really pushing hard and actually getting this vehicle to the event. It was a monumental amount of work, especially when I blew up the engine the first time. But really, some of the lessons I can take away from this are, first of all, that if you're going to be doing a drag and drive style event, you really need to have a sorted car that you know what it can do, and you've really had a bunch of testing done on it so that you know what it can do, and you can beat on it day after day and it'll give you consistent results. Obviously not the case with this one. I think when I did Rocky Mountain Race Week a couple years ago with the C10, I kind of got a little overconfident with that because that was a more straightforward style build. So even though I didn't have any test time on it, it wasn't ultra critical that everything worked perfectly. However, when you're dealing with a vehicle like this that is boosted and is a much more complicated design, you definitely want to have some more testing time done to it. So hopefully that's a next year kind of thing. We can really get that ironed out. Now, another note that people might think is, well, you wouldn't have blown this thing up if you had a built bottom end for it. Yes and no there. There's a chance that with the current tune that's in the car right now that it would have survived on a built bottom end. But the truth is, bad tuning is bad tuning, and you really don't want to band-aid that sort of thing because you're going to eventually do damage to it anyway. Yes, I really don't feel like building this engine again. However, when it comes out this time, I will be putting a built bottom end in it. And I did make some good contacts with some tuners who are proficient with HP tuners who said that they would be willing to basically sell me a base map that would work for this situation, even possibly do some remote dyno tuning for me. So I do have options moving forward from here, and we are going to get this car dialed and actually putting out some decent numbers. Unfortunately, that is likely going to be next year because in a couple of weeks here, we're probably going to get our first snow of the year, and it's just going to stick around until springtime. So basically, I just need to do enough to get this car ready for springtime when the tracks open back up, and then we can really start doing some testing on it. And again, hopefully get this thing dialed in and do it exactly what it should be doing. Now, as for the Redwood Rally itself, I really want to thank Jesse and Heather for all their efforts in actually putting this together. It's so fantastic to finally have a drag and drive event on the West Coast. We've needed one forever. And I have to say, for a first-year deal, they really have done a fantastic job. I've told them that on that first day, that was the smoothest first day of a drag and drive that I've ever seen. I mean, I've only ever gone to another one in person, but I do watch a lot of the live streams for these drag and drives. And the first day, it's always just a carnage fest. So many oil downs of the track. Now, hey, one thing I do have to say is that when my engine completely exploded, and this is going to be fantastic to actually tear this thing apart because, man, I scattered it this time. It won't even crank over, so should be some interesting stuff. But my point is that when it did blow up, no oil, no water on the track at all. We were able to just push me off and everyone else was able to just continue on. So I was happy about that. But realistically, it went so smoothly on that first day. And honestly, that's a testament to the other competitors because their cars were very sorted, very tested, and they worked very well. My car was one of only 3 vehicles on the first day that actually broke and was out. So great job to the other competitors. Now, to clarify another point, the reason why I decided to call the event was because as I was changing the pinion seal on the C10 truck, I saw a ton of glitter in the gear oil, which basically means there's a ton of metal in the oil, which means that the bearings are just absolutely hammered. Not a surprise considering the pinion nut had backed off there and you could hear it smashing away back there. Definitely a horrible noise, but basically, I wasn't comfortable actually running the truck on the track after that because I knew the rear end was hurt, so that's why I decided to call it. So an unfortunate end to this particular event, but that's not really that big of a deal. Truthfully, you guys saw that I was able to put another engine in this thing in about a day and a half anyway, so doing it again, not the absolute worst thing in the world, but again, we're gonna wait on that. We're gonna move on to some other projects we've got going on for right now. I may even take a hiatus for a little bit. I am kind of burned out. I've been going hardcore on this thing. You guys know that since the last few months, especially just to really get this thing going for the event. So I'm kind of burned out. I like to spend some time with my family. I know you guys will appreciate that. So in the meantime, we'll see you next time on Reignited.